Okay. Being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Ojai Valley Sanitary District Board of Directors meeting for September 22nd, 2025 to order. Say 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. I am now. Can we get, do we have any requests for remote meeting attendance?
We do not. We had and may have again Director Curtis on remotely, and he is attending under the alternate public location provisions of the Brown Act, not AB 24492.
Great. In that case, then, shall we proceed with roll call, please?
Director Kentosh,
Here.
Director Berg,
Here.
Director Quillisi,
Here.
Director Reed.
Here.
And then at roll call, Director Curtis is absent, but we will note if he re-arrives to the meeting. And then we have Director Martinson is absent. He notified me prior to the meeting. Did I not call you? I'm so sorry. It's been a really long time.
And I'm usually a day late.
And then we also have Chairman Ulrich present as well. My apologies.
Thank goodness, this hologram guy was up there. So.
Thank goodness for video recording.
Yes, indeed. All right. In that case, the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Ready.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and the republic that stands, one nation, indivisible, with justice for all.
Okay. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda?
There are amendments to the agenda. Agenda item number 8. At the request of the appellant, after the posting of the agenda, he has requested to be rescheduled. Staff will reschedule this matter for October 27th, which is our next scheduled regular meeting.
Good. Okay. The other additions or amendments? Okay. The public concerns.
And that I'm aware of.
Okay. Consent items. Items 6 and 7, item 6 approval of minutes, and item 7 review of disbursement of checks for the period of August 14, 2025 to September 15, 2025. Have any questions?
Move for approval. I'll second.
Allison.
Jack again. Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Reed,
Yes.
and then Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Okay, agenda item number 8 has been rescheduled to October 27 at the request of the appellant. Action items, item 9 is a discussion of the total maximum daily load TMDL plant upgrade, project startup, operational adjustments, and commissioning update. And that goes to general manager.
All right. Leaving at last month's discussion about the submission, the revised operation plan went into the state on August 8th, and we had a startup letter that went into the regional board on August 13th. They were both presented to you last time. In response to those, the state responded back with a comment letter. That comment letter is attached in here for your review. In summary, it acknowledged that the requested relief in taking no objection to our operations plan. So with that all being said, what we did is on September 9th and 10th, Parkson installed the new airlift. So we talked about the old airlifts were 3-piece airlifts. They are now a single-piece airlift. It seems to be that there was a systemic problem at the coupling of the multiple piece airlifts, and that has been remedied because these are single piece airlifts. So those went into operation. Parkson was very, very gracious in helping or installing those. We did a lunch and learn afterwards on that Wednesday, and we went over in detail how they operate those airlifts in other locations. Starting on the following Monday, district staff and Taft's Electric They installed a new pump. So we have a new feed system where we blend in the two different types of Micro C. One is the Micro C 1000, the other is the Micro C 2000. It's a 70-30 blend. We required two pumps to do that. They installed those pumps on Monday, and we went live with in D-night mode on Tuesday, the 16th. It's been operating a week now in D-night mode. We're getting really good results. So when I looked with Bradshaw this morning, we are down to nitrate at less than 1.5 milligrams per liter on the effluent, and we have zero detective nitrite at this point. They've made some operation changes. We're not really sure if it's the oxidation ditches are also running superbly, frankly. And we're not quite sure if it's the oxidation ditches that are running so well with the new lower MCRTs, or if it's a combination of the D-night filters coming in. But in any event, as of this morning, it was running in a very efficient mode, and we're continuing on. We'll likely be ratcheting up the Micro C depending on what happens in their observations of the biology in the D-night modes and the D-night filters. That's it for reporting on the TMDL, unless there's any questions that you all may have.
Director Quilson.
Thank you. If I understand what you just said, other than CRT, which I didn't understand, you're saying our total nitrogen is 1.5 right now. What is the limit that we have to stay under?
I believe it's 4.6 is what we have to stay under, but that 1.5 is the measurable. There's still there's an organic component of it that we don't measure, which is running at around 1.5 itself. So we're running at around 3.1 total at this point. And if we're less than 4.6, we're within limit. When Bradshaw and I discussed it this morning, there's a possibility that because we have a pounds limit for the whole summer, if we continue to operate like this for the next couple of weeks, we may actually meet the summer pounds limit requirement depending on how it's prorated.
Summer officially ends the end of this month.
End of September. Yeah, we go into winter modes on October 1st.
Refresh us on what the winter standards.
I believe it is, I don't recall, it may be 7.6, but I may be off on that. It is higher. It is higher. So our expectation is that we will likely not be running in D-night mode in the winter. That's what's expected.
Save some wear and tear on things.
That's right. It would save some wear and tear on it, save some carbon costs.
So to clarify, my understanding of what you're saying is that, and so disabuse me of any notion of is inaccurate. Certainly, big issues sort of solve themselves.
Not yet.
Okay.
So
You did say that the trenches were.
yes, the trenches are running better. So here's how these particular filters work. We talked about it a little bit last time, where they don't have a backwash per se. They more have a constant wash. And what that means is if it's in D-night mode and we're injecting carbon into the D-night filters, since they're in a constant wash, there may be some carbon that is coming through during the constant washing and working itself all the way back up into the headworks and back into the oxidation ditches. And what may be the limiting factor in all the biology is the amount of carbon that's readily available for the biome to process it. And so that's a possibility. We haven't gotten to the better, but we're looking at, I mean, we're down to milligrams per liter, small measurable amounts.
Yeah. Questions?
How much of the liquid that's passing through the filters, these 6 sand towers, winds up back at the headworks, and why?
Well, we are in, I don't know is the answer, like a percentage wise. I can look into that and get back to you on that. I don't know the percentage.
A lot?
A little. Yeah, I'm guess, if I had to guess, 15-ish%, but certainly don't hold me to it. It's The reason being is because we are constantly agitating the sand so that we don't get a change. There tends to be a change in the effluent when it goes from the sand sitting still to when it is agitated. And that's what we're trying to mitigate. So we've received a recommendation to keep it in constant agitation mode. Because it's in constant agitation mode, some of that flow will always be coming and passing back through. I don't know the amount. I'll look into that.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying, but I think it's possibly a measurable percentage that is working of carbon that's working itself back in.
2 ditches are full of bugs
Yeah,
by design.
by design, and they will continue.
There are bugs in the sand filters?
Yes. There's bugs in the sand filters, and just right now, just so everyone is clear, we are only running one of the 2 ditches. So we're running only with filters 1 through 4, 5 and 6 are not online right now. That was the other recommendation, is just to run with the 4.
Anything else? That definitely, no action required, so we'll move to item 10. November and December board meetings. Consider scheduling.
So we review the holiday schedule annually around this time to evaluate whether either of the November and December regular meetings either conflict with an actual holiday or they conflict with any director's travel plans that would impede the district being able to conduct normal business. So I put that before you to let us know if a regularly scheduled November and December meetings are fine with you. You recommend moving them to an alternate.
And the dates would be in September with
November 24th, which is the Monday before the Thursday Thanksgiving. And then December 22nd, which is the Monday prior to a Thursday Christmas.
I will be unavailable in December for that.
Okay.
I mean, say that I sleep. Location, I can postpone.
Okay, so not completely unavailable.
Yes, exactly.
Not completely in it.
No, yeah.
And vice chair can run the meeting.
He's a good runner.
I can do it.
Okay.
So we can revisit this if we need to in October. So maybe check your schedules, and if you changed your mind, you can let me know. We can re-agendize this. But as of now, I'm hearing that it looks fine.
No, it's fine for me. It's like fine.
Very good. We will now keep them the same.
Right.
Saying you're talking about the.
Being the November 24th and December 22nd.
Thanksgiving Monday.
24th.
24th of
So you're not available.
second. That's more. If you actually are available remotely.
That's my
and you choose to
anniversary.
public-
today,
oh,
so-
you're
Thank you. Fair enough.
Not available.
Fair enough. It looks like we may still have enough directors and
Although I'm sure if the shoe was on the other foot, you'd be very understanding.
Oh,
And
of course.
Yeah. I would. To clarify that. Right, so we have taken no action, then we don't.
no action. It looks like there's only potentially like an unavailability per date. So not super impactful.
Very good. Moving to item number 11, adopt budget adjustment number 2026-08. Carryover of incomplete contracts and purchases from fiscal year 2024-25 budget.
As we move into any new fiscal year, we always review incomplete projects or project contracts that were awarded towards the end of the fiscal year that have yet to commence. We look at the unexpended balances and evaluate whether those will be needed the following fiscal year. The list before you is the list of carryovers. So contracts that either have not started or had not started as of July 1st. And then anything that is still in process and has a remaining balance that we plan on expending in the existing contract. The total amount is $1,637,885. Steve found a typo on the paragraph from right below the very end of page 150. It should be fiscal year 25-26, not 21-22. So just a slight correction there. But other than that, nothing else material in there. We will reevaluate these at the end of fiscal year. There is a possibility we do sometimes carry over certain contracts for multiple years, depending on what the scope of the contract is. I can't say that I see anything in here that necessarily might be the case, but you never know.
Okay, so need
Housekeeping. I will
Yep.
move approval of recommendations on item 11.
for a second.
Second.
Listen.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Reed, and Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Okay, item 12. Wastewater treatment plant roof replacement project number 2025-12, contract number 325-12, budget adjustment number 2026-09.
Over that. So this is our second of two roof projects. Earlier this year, you guys approved the roof replacement project for the solids and mixing building, the shim building. And then earlier this year, you also approved the RTU replacements for the HVAC units on two roofs. So in this approval, it contains the remaining three roofs that have a built-up roofing material on them. They were put in the 90s. They also all have skylights. They also all contain critical motor control center equipment and need to be redone. So this is like the next phase of our roofing project, which we're presenting to you. It's very similar roofing product to what was put on in 2021. And we've had no issues, no leaks on those buildings. This work will be performed in conjunction with the RTU replacements. And there was also an ad alternate for skylight replacement, which staff does recommend that we do. The skylights are as old as the roofs and they are starting to fall apart. You know, the metal pieces are rusting, the rubber pieces are brittle and failing, everything's peeling up and they are leaking. And again, it is critical that we're presenting today.
I got it. Thank you.
Additionally, during the bid review, which was also reviewed by legal counsel, low bidder was unfortunately deemed non-responsive due to the work history that was listed. And so staff recommends awarding the contract to the lowest responsive bidder, which is the second lowest bidder, which is Southland Roof. Additionally, PM and CM, that review will be performed in-house by OVSD staff. There's no anticipated inspection costs, so it's just the construction.
And then just to clarify, it's project 2025-12R1 and contract 2025-12R1 because this project was rebid.
Any questions or discussion?
Do you have any experience with Southland roofing?
We don't. They've persistently bid the project through the original bid and the rebid, so they've had a good look at the work, but we've never worked with them directly. Don't do too much roofing around here.
We have a representative for the material representative.
Yes. So my name's Martin with Garland. I speak about Southland. They're a reputable company on the area. Just this summer alone, for Garland, they performed 5 roofs at Santa Maria Bonita, out in Santa Maria, and then they performed 2 roofs over at Fillmore Unified School District as well. To give you guys some context, they have been working in this area.
So you're interested in coming to our board meeting?
Of course.
Thank you. One of the things that has come up as the city, the planning commission, which I was on for help, dealing with roofs, also dealt with skylights. changes in the material skylights, both for flammability and for resilience and long life. How have you considered that? Have you decided to make any changes to the skylights other than replacing them like for like?
We have scoped a like for like replacement, to my knowledge, and I would assume that that meets all codes at this time.
Okay, are the current skylights leaking?
Uh, One in particular, or one roof has two skylights that in particular are leaking. They're they were installed in 1997.
Typically speaking, if you get lifespan of skylight anywhere near the lifespan of the roof, you have value. The nature of them is they deteriorate before a roof does. I've got a few questions, unless anybody else has anything. Is there any, since the existing roof was put in the 80s, any issues with materials inherent in the roof that needs mitigation?
We did do
Survey?
and we didn't return any of those results. We did on the shim building, which did require some remediation, some asbestos-containing material removal. The other three roofs, which we're presenting to you today, did not.
So that's not part of this scope of this. Yeah, because a lot of times it's not from that roof, it's from the previous roof material that was left in, and when somebody notices, they have to strip off everything. All of a sudden, you're mitigating in an unanticipated condition, so to speak. So I'm usually not a non-budgeted. So, all right. And having looked at some of the scope, and perhaps you can clarify this for me, the shop drawings produced by the skylights, I'm talking about, there's shop drawings potentially for some of the roof configurations, but that doesn't have the engineering component that I usually look for or sometimes are concerned about. So I'm just going to be addressing the skylight, the ad. The shop drawings are produced by the contractor.
Yes, the contractor and the skylights are required to be fabricated by a skylight contractor who's been in business for 10 plus years, and they have a structural component to them. And unfortunately, I'm not fully abreast of the information. It was done by Rick at the treatment plant who did our previous roofs.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit of a messenger, but there's pretty stringent technical specification requirements for our skylights, requiring them to meet structural requirements.
Okay, but since the shop drawings aren't, my understanding is the shop drawings don't require an engineering wet stamp.
Typically, ours, but for some critical components, they do. I'd have to look at the specs to see what they require.
My understanding from Mr. Knack that these don't.
Okay.
So that's kind of a concern to me because there's not a huge expense there. But if we in-house provide the scope and then view and approve structural shop drawings, kind of leaves all of the liability and responsibility on us. I'm not really very comfortable with that for what it costs to have either the contractor, is usually where I'm the most comfortable with. They're providing the assembly. They're providing the shop drawings, and all they got to do is find either an in-house or a structural engineer out, even review and stamp them, and then we also have the layered on peer review inherent in that kind of process. But from my understanding from Mr. Knack, that was not going to be the case, and I would like to know that was happen, even at this late date, it has to be quoted cost. But that to me is the way of doing it so that there isn't any. Okay, I think that was pretty much those things, well, actually, I have third, there isn't, I didn't look at the spec to this extent that granularly, but there isn't any requirement of any kind of an ICBO rating or anything like that or an equivalency from a rating organization regarding these. These are just kind of one-off, kind of fabbed.
Yeah, they're custom fab.
Okay. That's all I have.
Would you like to include like a small budget to have the skylights wet stamped?
You know, from my perspective, it's
I mean, I would think.
unless somebody comes up, unless the winning bidder comes up and says, oh, no, that's, you know, a ridiculous several $1,000s for, don't see that in those. I don't see any reason for that unless there's a heck of a lot of structure in there. And I know that they're large, but still, it's a skylight.
Roof is two very large ones.
Yeah.
The others are pretty.
And they have motor operators, right?
Oh, I believe they're
Fixed.
They're fixed, okay, then easy peasy. From my perspective, because there's another component which you began to allude to, which is in skylights today, the fire department wants to know that in the event of a fire, they can, and there isn't super high pitch in a low pitch skylight, they oftentimes would like to know they can walk across it without having falling through.
tent of these.
Yeah, and that to me is not something you just say, yeah, that'll do it.
There's also, how resistant is skylight embercast?
Yeah, but
That
you know,
has to do with the material.
Yeah, but the nice thing is if embercast burns through the skylight, what's it gonna fall through?
Fall into a room full of electronics.
Well, that's true. Well, that's true. That's a protection. So at this point, we're concerned about now two things. One is the structural integrity, and two, the material, the translucent material is what's its
Fire resistance.
fire resistance, and you know it's not going to be flammable, but the issue is what's its resistance to an ember. There's a burn rate status, and you know that's something that somebody's going to
Will embers burn through the skylight?
They typically, any kind of a plastic material typically do. It's just a matter of how soon. And that's based on how large the embers are. So those are two concerns that I think would be prudent, you know, get a cost for it or figure something out that provides a wet stamp engineered view of them from somebody somewhere. It's not us. Okay, so having said that, then we need to, these are as items 12, A, B, C, and D.
You're always pushing holes through roofs.
And this is going to be one motion, one roll call vote. Do we have a motion in a second?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve A through D on item 12 with the addition to get a wet stamp engineering review of the structure and the material and its fire resistance.
We want to.
Whether that's negotiated with the contractor or done separately by the district staff, box next to me.
Yeah, I don't think the amount is going to require it having to come back. That'll be
We'll
something.
evaluate the cost and if it's something that we think you should
I
consider.
think the
Otherwise,
general
we'll-
manager has enough discretion.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll absorb it
Something like that.
operationally.
Yeah.
We can.
There's my motion.
I'll second the amendment, all the
Okay,
comments, yes.
What he said.
actually, Allison, please.
Director Kintosh,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Reed, Director Curtis,
Muted, yes.
Yes, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And then Chair Allroyd.
Yes. Right.
Better.
Items 13 through 18, information items for receipt and file. Have a items,
Just to note that the financial report, because we're in the middle of an audit, we repurposed some staff time, and so we'll be presenting 2 months worth of financials in October.
One question on item 15 regarding the broken airlift. I thought the last time I talked about airlifts, recommendation was to go with the three-piece airlift because it would not require a crane installation.
No,
Does, as I suggested, introduce a couple of failure points.
yeah, so the airlifts that were installed are PVC airlifts. So they're light enough that a single person can lift it. They're not metal, they're PVC. So we've gone with a single piece PVC airlifts. So there's no coupling, so you don't have the interior abrasion at the coupling, and it's still light enough that one person can raise it.
So it was the single piece stainless steel airlift that was the problem.
It was too heavy, yes.
All right, in that case, there were no reports on meetings, seminars, or conference attended for items of interest, correspondence, or article. Okay, then item number 19, board member and general manager comment. Board member comments? Okay, Jack? In that case, anything new, Mr. Maxwell?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight a few things, talk about some staffing. The environmental compliance inspector successfully completed his 6-month review. So we're excited to see that. We're going to be looking at having interviews for the information systems technology admin position in the next couple of weeks. Shout out to the collection system. So some of you may remember that there was a blackout the night of August 30th where they lost all power. Collection system, they mowed, fire up generators. They kept everything running pretty efficiently, including coming over here and getting things set up. So kudos to the collection system. I do just want to reiterate, it's in the packet, but the senior treatment plant 4 recruitment is paused right now. We're waiting for the TMDL project to get fired up and see how that goes before we move forward with that recruitment. Talk about some projects. Fine Screen kicked off today. So with construction, there's been some preliminary work. It's highlighted on page 2 of 9-year packet. CIPP and spot repairs are going to start. Construction is going to start here in September. It's likely going to run through December. I just want to make note that Liz is not going to be able to help us with field work the next couple of weeks, and Phoenix Engineering is going to be taking over as the CM out there. The TECO facility is in review with the county, and we expect to perhaps get rolling with that out to bid in December of 2025. There's some highlights on page 213 and 214 of FEMA. I think at this point we have $1.6 million that is newly obligated. It's not funded, but it's at least newly obligated. I've had a couple calls and emails with Congressman Carvajal's office, and I don't know if it's coincidental or not, but I'll throw kudos out to Carvajal's office that perhaps they're putting a press on FEMA and getting them some things going in the right direction for us.
Professional inquiries.
Yes, so it's been something else. Of local utility note and budgeting, I don't know that everyone saw it. Casitas has a proposed water service rate increase. The flyer is out. It's in review. They're proposing, depending on how you crack it between service charges and fees, somewhere between a 7% and 9% per year for the next 5 years. In their flyer, they were very explicit in that they expect to see 5% annual increases of costs for their district. So I just want to give everyone the heads up that that's what's out there in the utility environment of the valley. I have been looking at with Yan and with Liz. I've been reviewing the trunk CIP, including some pricing of what it would take for 40 years of perpetual operation of that. Some investments, if you take a look at page 189 and page 194, there was some specific things in that we are going to see. There's $550,000 that is going to mature in, I think it was November. We had 370 or so last month. Nothing in October, but I think we're looking at 1.7 million is maturing in December. I've been working with PFM to press them to see, do they have a plan or do they need a plan of what we're going to do as this money matures on these long-term bonds that we're at, frankly, pretty low yielding amounts, somewhere between 0.3% and less than one, like 0.866 for some of it. We had one good one that was with Abbott on the private side that was paying 3.8 or something like that, but that was something from 2017. So anyhow, that's something, and I suspect that you'll be looking at convening the financial committee to have some conversations and discussions. And one last comment about the septic to sewer. I've got notice from DFA that Trustee Lane and North Rice Road are now on the fundable list. So what that means, it has gone through multiple reviews. They've had some minor comments. We've addressed the comments. It's gone back to Regional Water Quality Control Board. So between me, Regional Water Quality Control Board, and DFA, those are on a fundable list. So at that point, once the state has money, we will see what happens. West Casita Springs is on hold pending placement on the fundable list. But much like Trustee Lane and North Rice Road, everything has been hashed through at this point, just waiting to go onto the list.
So the buy-in, do we have any notion of what that is or might be
For the district?
before, as far as the ratepayers who would be benefiting from the?
No, I don't have that. There's a line item in there for us to either send staff out to do inquiries in the community or for us to hire a consultant to go out and do that. There's money that's been set aside for that very reason. And I do want to remind the board that when I gave the presentation to LAFCO, that was a very explicit comment that came from the LAFCO board was asking that indeed that there is a public engagement on that, and that the intent is not to just hammer them with a septic to sewer that they must accept. The intent is this is something, are you interested or are you not interested? LAFCO was looking for public engagement.
Okay, wouldn't that start mailing or mailings first to advise people what the situation is and what their option, what's necessary for them to opt in, should they be interested? And then no, it would make more sense normally to send staff, because they're going to relate, respond to any questions rather than a consultant. But if the staff's already got their plate full, then there's that, and can be chipped away a little bit at a time, especially if Trustee Dean and Rice Road isn't a lot of units, whereas Cetus is. That's also a judgment call, and perhaps we should get a solicit from a consultant that might be able to do that. So they don't wind up coming off when they're selling windows. Right.
I think TFA has an explicit sort of marketing requirement that does require a certain amount of mailers to a certain area of influence. I think they have publication requirements, posting. It's a multi-part thing. If I remember correctly, it's an arduous, I think 6-part long requirement for public engagement. So if I had to guess, I'd say that it can likely, majority of it only be done by a consultant. It's very, very time consuming what they require, if I remember
then
correctly.
We may want to part it the horse too much, but by the same token, it's going to take a while to do that, and while everything else processes through, or reaches some notion of fruition, that's something that we want to take a few initial steps on to make it happen, so that you know who's going to be participating. The money's there.
To the RCAP who specializes in, so
Our CAP is what?
I think they specialize in doing the community outreach, survey, that sort of work. I think
Is it,
A question to be,
think it was-
any of them is, have they ever done something that was similar to this? In other words, a connection to a utility, whatever, whether that's water, gas, or whatever, to folks that haven't been served. Because that is a species of outreach and engagement and implications of the actual action.
Might also be helpful to work with the Ojai Valley News publisher and the Ventura Star. Sure. None of this is going on inside the city limits. But paper is to
Spirit,
people
they just
outside.
love to announce that their sphere of influence is
Yeah.
the entire.
Ventura County Sun and all that. But
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
a good way to get the word out to people who are potentially involved. Advantages.
Actually, there might be an ancillary thing if it gets put in Ojai Valley News. I'm sure they will, because they do, consider 33 up to Pine Mountain a sphere of influence. But that might even get some of the folks, non-interested parties or heretofore non-interested parties in the ARPA audit, what's going on, especially folks that have bought, purchased their properties in the last 5 years.
A few years ago, well, or three maybe, Palmer and I to talk to the Board of Realtors, in the city, about specifically the Arbolada area, an edge of the city. Most of it's on septic. His recommendation was that they form a community facilities district on their own, because it turns out they're not candidates for this program, not because of individual parcel owners' income, I think because of net worth. So, because that is a continuing problem, have a lot of, in heavy rain, have a lot of not very good water coming down the sides of Foothill Road, for example. Everybody in the city is aware of that. Would think it would be an item of interest.
Something might come from it. Might be enough folks, owners there who would be interested if, obviously, folks on Trusty Lane and North Rice Road. Might still think that, wait. Okay, right.
It's relevant.
Yeah.
A good number of city residents, even if they're not part of the program.
Okay, is there anything else? Any other comments, questions?
I had a question. I probably missed it, Scott, but did you guys fix that cracked window out there?
so the windows weren't cracked. It was the glazing on the outside that made the illusion that they were cracked. And yes, we
Cracked.
peeled off the glazing and reglazed with whatever the outside coating is called. Yes.
See, the board does make a difference.
So glad to hear that. Okay, in that case, then,
Successful search for relevance.
yes. Okay, and we'll continue on with that, with our every fiber. So I'm going to call this meeting adjourned at 6:40.